From Chicago to Boston, Midwest to the East Coast, and this island in the Caribbean known as Puerto Rico is why the bars are lethal. Got me going beast mode in this game called life. You better know some cheat codes. Il Divino's back, someone let the streets know. 6 shots for the folks and 5 shots for my peoples. I think it's high time we all have a sit down. Can we all agree the game is gone to shit now? Like the fall of Rome, the death of Romulus, history repeating itself if you know it's obvious. If you had your head inside of a book instead of binoculars, you'd be able to see without a pair of binoculars. Our tax dollars being spent towards the damn omnibus, but the rich stay rich, commoners remain commoners. The tentacles and everything like a damn octopus. Mass media, mass hysteria, how they control the populace. Cash rules everything around me, and on every dollar bill it's printed in God we trust. Yeah, everyone lives in fear around me. The truth will set you free. Quick shout out to Elon Musk. Cash rules everything around me, and on every dollar bill it's printed in God we trust. Yeah, everyone lives in fear around me. The truth will set you free. Quick shout out to Elon Musk. Living in this shy, can't let them catch me snoozing. Dudes be shooting just for the amusement. I refuse to be a victim, never be a loose end. When your city is a war zone, who gives a fuck about Putin? There ain't none safe about the safety act. There's more safety in being strapped. They should choose you, shoot back. Those odds are better than getting caught laying on your back. Don't believe me, check the stats. I'm just bringing you the facts. With my hand on the Bible, I swear to rap the truth. My mighty God, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. My people perish for lack of knowledge. My knowledge I share with you. There's nothing we can't accomplish. One head ain't better than two. That's the purpose of a democratic republic. Discussion on every subject, in truth, logic, and reason, till we reach an agreement. A nation under God is how the states united. Got out of the picture, look how gradually we divided. Cash rules everything around me, and on every dollar bill it's printed in God we trust. Yeah, everyone lives in fear around me. The truth will set you free. Quick shout out to Elon Musk. Cash rules everything around me, and on every dollar bill it's printed in God we trust. Yeah, everyone lives in fear around me. The truth will set you free. Quick shout out to Elon Musk.
Arrogance is the primary ingredient that will make you assume you can take action without God. Arrogance. That's actually what it is. You think you got this and you know more than God. That's why your drift turns into a swerve.
Thank God for this day. Hey, you're not promised tomorrow. Realize your life is borrowed, so say what you gotta say. Hey, get it all off your chest. Nothing more, nothing less. Isn't that what Twitter's for? Clout. And all these other platforms. Followers who has more. You have found your reward. Matter of fact, engage some more, and for sure you'll find yourself in these social media wars. Oh Lord, let's talk about it. You be about it, I be about it. So relying on social media, how would you be without it? Non-existent, your entire system would just be a flop if you don't listen and got no vision. How could you reach the top? Twitter fingers like a ninja, stay mass, move fast, you would know who hit ya. Cut you and split ya, causing division, moving on in you like a temporal pincer. Trying to paint the perfect picture, write lyrics like the holy scriptures. Even profound, you're feeling me now. After hearing the sound, you're hearing me now. Coming for the facts, now losing track, got me thinking that this couldn't be more crazy. If I take it back to the very act, you were talking smack when you actually thought you played me. Tell me who's true, there's only a few. Keep me in tune while seeking the truth. Salute to the crew, I'm paying my dues. Be sure to give credit where credit is due. Thank God for this day. Hey, you're not promised tomorrow. Realize your life is borrowed, so say what you gotta say. Hey, get it all off your chest. Nothing more, nothing less. Isn't that what Twitter's for? Clout. And all these other platforms. Followers who has more. You have found your reward. Matter of fact, engage some more, and for sure you'll find yourself in these social media wars. Oh Lord.
Media is just like syphilis, wholesome wickedness, tearing folks down who bore witness to the passions of the movies that they love, to the director who rose up above the hatred, the jealousy of those who was friendly, who turned into some of the worst of our enemies. A disgrace when your smiles in our face, doing that for only the clout that you chase. It's too late. Fruit of your labor was laced with a poison that most of you clowns couldn't taste. We know who you are, so fake the funk if you want. Make all your videos, cause we know you're a chump. You try to divide, but we was wise to your lies. We testified that you were snakes in disguise. And don't depend on those little simps on your side. They only live off the drama you provide.
Thank God for this day. Hey, you're not promised tomorrow. Realize your life is borrowed, so say what you gotta say. Hey, get it all off your chest. Nothing more, nothing less. Isn't that what Twitter's for? Clout. And all these other platforms. Followers who has more. You have found your reward. Matter of fact, engage some more, and for sure you'll find yourself in these social media wars. Who would have thought there'd ever be a Muslim-Christian connection? Welcome to America, the saint, the kingdom of heaven. Two brethren with reverence to the Most High, keeping them strengthened. Counting our blessings in a time where there's division and tension. From the streets to these tweets, the people keep on wildin'. Violence keeps on rising in every single environment. So I pray for God's love to pour out and assalamu alaikum. But take my kindness for weakness, then you're sadly mistaken. I'm just like David, fighting off wars, bears.
We going up, shit going down. We lighting them up, you best hit the ground. Shooting them up, run after round. When the blood in the air, you better not dare to come around town. Father, please forgive me, have mercy on my soul. Fools keep trying to test me and I will never fold. It's the way that Wendy raised me, the city of the gold. Load them up and let them go, load them up and let them go, load them up and let them fly.
All right, let's put that on pause. You already know what it is. It's your boy Eldovino Vega. This is the Chop Shop. Late night session, obviously. Had some technical difficulties over here on this side, so it took me a while to actually set it all up and get this thing going. But I didn't want to delay this or postpone it because I feel like this is something I've been wanting to talk about these past couple of days, but it's just I was busy working, and now I just feel like, well, now that I have the time, let me just go ahead and put it out there, what I've, I guess, been thinking about. But at the same time, I'm glad that I wasn't able to get on right away and speak my mind on certain things, because it gave me time to just, I guess you could say, marinating the thought, keep reflecting on things. And then it also just allowed me to just keep seeing the, I guess you could say, turn of events, how things end up turning out in a sense of, I guess, news-wise to reactions, you know, and things of that nature. So there's like a bigger picture here, a fuller picture. And so yeah, again, it benefited me that it kind of, I wasn't able to speak right away, but I didn't want to wait too long. So here we are, again, late night session. So for those who do hop on, like, appreciate y'all hopping on. I'm glad that you're still awake and able to catch me live. For those who don't, I mean, just, you know, replay this when you get the opportunity, because I feel it's important. And also I would love to hear your the feedback and thoughts on what it is I'm going to be throwing out there and discussing, or I guess bringing up to discuss. Obviously, if you see the title of the episode, it's No One Stays Good. For anyone who knows what I'm talking about or where that line comes from, kudos to you, salute to you, because you're a real one. I kind of put it in the description, so if you read the description, or again, it depends where you're watching this from, it's in the description or in the comment of, like, you know, attached to the live video, whatever. And it technically comes from Batman versus Superman. Anybody who's been watching me knows it's one of my favorite films, if not probably my favorite film of all time, but you know, for sure favorite comic book movie of all time. But the entire line, it's no one stays good in this world, but no one stays good sums that up as well. So there's this, it's kind of important to know where this comes from or where this stems from, that, you know, this conversation. But I feel like there's an overall message I want to get to. I'm very big, for sure, on movies for a particular reason, but I think art in general, because I feel art is one of the greatest mediums to exist, as far as like how a message can be portrayed, or a story, or a thought. and movies, I feel, is that one medium that can kind of like give you all different types of art in one, right? Meaning like you're getting music, because 9 times out of 10 there's a score or whatever. Da, da, da. And this is really like a light point to my overall conversation. This is just me kind of pointing out why I reference a lot of movies and a lot of things that what I discuss when it relates to real life. But anyways, all this to say again, movies I feel have the music aspect down right. We all listen to a lot of music. Music we know moves us. It makes us feel a certain type of way. It tugs at certain strings emotionally, perceptionally, like depending on the lyrics and so forth and so forth, right? So that it does that. It does the imagery aspect, right? Like depending how good a shot is taken, some even in motion you can get a still shot, and sometimes a still shot says 1,000 words. Hence why they even have like slow motion shots, because it's almost like a still shot. It's that when you're telling a story and it's like for you it seemed like it took forever, but really in real time it's actually moving fast. But for the sake of perception of how we tell stories, that's a cool way to also receive the story, right? It's like slow motion as well, probably in the same manner someone would tell it, right? And then obviously things in actual motion as it is, because that's the most realistic perception you can have to possibly bring relativity to the story as far as the world these movies are set in or so forth. That being said, again, I went with the no one stays good line for many reasons, but we'll circle back to that one. It's not like the main thing that came to my mind. There's like a specific movie scene that came to my mind as I was witnessing just witnessing kind of what's just taking place as far as people's reactions, but then also reflecting on what did take place and many other I guess tragedies and just horrificness of news that's occurred in the most recent uh past 10 years, so forth or so, right? Like just within a certain time frame, it just seems like, man, there's just a lot of craziness happening, um which is it's important to note, right? Because I feel like there's so many things being said right now, right? And it's I woe to me for not taking the time to like properly write down every single thing that I came across. A lot of these things I catch like on the go, so it's like it's really hard for me to like jot down everything, but I really should do that because it'd probably be more efficient on how I speak on what I want to speak on. But like all that to say that there's like many different things that I feel is being said at this very moment, pertaining to a lot of things, right? Like so, like whether it's the most recent thing, right? The whole Charlie Kirk thing, um, you know, the school shootings that have occurred in the past couple of just months, right? Um, let's just stick to that for now, right? Let's just say that, right? Um, what is it about that that's noteworthy over, let's just say, tragedies that we know happen on almost like a day-to-day basis, right? Um, like for obviously, for instance, I live in Chicago. Um, the death count's already at what was it, like 50 or 60 or something like that already this past summer. And yet like nobody really knows anything about that, right? Like unless you live locally, you know about it, right? But like nobody really knows what's happening here in Chicago, the violence that occurs here in Chicago, unless you're watching like, I don't know, Fox News or something, that likes to, I guess you could say, make note of like, I guess, crime that occurs in these cities, because I guess for certain other news outlets aren't doing it, so I guess they feel they have to. But whatever it is, whole point is unless you live in Chicago, you wouldn't know. And I know that for some people that do live in Chicago, that's like a frustration of theirs, right? Like, and they can't seem to understand why there's this, I guess, outrage to, I guess like the more why is there only outrage towards specific things compared to other things, or to specifically, let's just say, something like the shootings in Chicago. And again, these are good questions, but I feel like at the same time, um are kind of like self-explanatory. But I get why, I guess, people are just on high emotions, I guess. But so I'll let that be like an excuse of some sort. And certain things have been said these past couple of days that I can say, uh, I can see a lot of it's emotional, right? People are on edge. People are in the high emotions of things. But other things, I'm not so sure eh, how it's even being said, how people can even think this type of way, um, so forth and so forth. I'm gonna share this clip though, because when I came across this, I feel like this is the epitome of what I feel is happening uh right now as we speak, right? And what's occurred these past couple of days. And then I'm gonna expound on that, because this sequence really, and it's funny because it came across my um like a shorter version of it came across my news feed. I don't know if it was, I don't know where I was. I don't know if it was YouTube, IG, Facebook, X, either or, whatever. Open is I saw it, and like I had to stop before when I've seen the scene. When I first, no, not when I first, but when I've seen the scene recently, when I watched this movie, I thought that was a thought that came to my mind then. It's just something that I hadn't had the time to talk about, like to dive deep into and stuff, but something that I intended to. Now, though, like I said, it came across my very, like, in the past couple of days, and it just like, okay, now's a good time, I think, to kind of expound on this. So, anyways, let me go ahead and see if I can find this sequence on YouTube, or not find it. I have it. Let me just try and pull it up for you guys, and so you guys can see what I'm talking about, and maybe you guys will relate and know, and probably you guys will catch what I'm saying the moment I share this. Let's go ahead and share this. Mm, there we go.
Stop! Stop now! Come back! I love you!
Liar!
So
No!
You're with him!
in this part,
You
it's
brought him
crazy
here to
because,
kill me!
No!
like,
I said go!
there's a conversation even between her, Obi-Wan, or not Obi-Wan, between Padme and Anakin, that is reflective of the same conversation Anakin's about to have with Obi-Wan, just to point that out. But anyways, let's keep going.
Let her go!
Now, what's crazy, just perspective. I mean, even before this moment, there's a lot of acts this guy's committed, and we're gonna get to that to unpack this. But this is his own wife, his own mother to his children to be, and just look at how his mind is clouded.
You turned her against me! You have done that yourself! You will not take her from me! Your anger and your lust for power have already done that.
Pay attention to the dialogue, people. It's really crucial.
You have allowed this Dark Lord to twist your mind until now you have become the very thing you swore to destroy.
Don't lecture me, Obi-Wan. I see through the lies of the Jedi. I do not fear the dark side as you do. I have brought peace, freedom, justice, and security to my new empire.
Crazy.
Your new
Empire. Don't make me kill you. Anakin, my allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy! If you're not with me, then you're my enemy. Only a Sith deals in absolutes.
Boom. Right
I
there.
will do what I must.
I mean, no, that's
You will
Thank you.
try.
so fine. And for anybody who's like a fan of this, I'm gonna stop right here, but this is probably by far the best lightsaber scene, sequence, fighting scene of all time in Star Wars. Nothing comes close. This one takes the cake. Not even in the more recent new Star Wars content. But just to focus back on this, that line, right? He's all like, first off, again, it's that dialogue they're having, right? That just was very illuminating, right? Like, and to me, reflective of, I feel the type of atmosphere of people I feel we're dealing with these days, right? But I think it's important because, and hence, why I'll even say this is why storytelling is important to a certain degree, and who's telling the story, and why it's important that once it's created to not have it tainted by anyone else, or like, but whether it's corporate greed or just some weird, what I'm saying? This is why, for me personally, Star Wars is one of those IPs that I feel needs to be cherished for what it is, for what it was prior to how they came and tried to create a perverse version of that, right? They try to perverse the very fundamentals of what that story is telling within Star Wars, right? The relativity to that in real life, right, is that I think we all, what the dark side represents, obviously opposite of the light, right? Where in this world, they're referring to the Force, whatever, the Sith being those who embrace the dark side, and then obviously the Jedi who try to uphold themselves and live within the light. That's the concept. In real life, I feel like that's what we're always doing. We're constantly, in a sense, battling the two, or not battling the two, but there is a battle between the two. Most importantly within ourselves, first and foremost. I feel like that's something that we need to note is within ourselves. That's the constant battle. Like we have our better nature, our good conscience, that which is, I believe, is led and nurtured and spoken to and fed by God, and then the other side, what the Bible would refer to, like the flesh, our sinful nature. That's that dark side that also could be fed, and we can also, if not careful, fall into and embrace. But there are things that occur that get us there, right? It's not like things just are. Now, don't get me wrong. I believe that there are certain people that are just sick and twisted, unfortunately. But a lot of us, I feel, get there, and it's like, I'm almost certain if you've talked to any, or a majority, I would say, of people that have either strayed and fallen off of walking a life, or making choices that are righteous, or doing things that are good, and whatever, so forth and so forth. There are things that have occurred that have perverted their mind to justify, what they've done or where they've gone, right? When we're looking here in that scene, that's what's so crazy about that scene is now, like I said, prior to that, Anakin's already having a discussion with Padme, where again, it's clear that he's gone, and which is obvious because, I mean, even before that, the man literally kills a bunch of children, at a temple and feels he's justified in doing so. Importantly, because once you go into that, and this is what I thought was very profound, right? Is that right? He tells Obi-Wan, if you're not with me, then you're my enemy. Don't make me kill you. Like, he's already dealing. That's again absolutes, right? And that's when Obi-Wan says that only a Sith deals in absolutes. I just feel like, looking all around me right now, the way people talk, the way people are acting, things that have occurred, that's what that is. That's the manifestation of people dealing in absolutes, right? Where there's no room for a conversation or a debate or a opposite of opinion or of thought, which is dangerous in the end, which is clearly dangerous, right? Like, I'm showing you a movie sequence, and within the movie itself, there's a lot more that occurs that displays that, right? But this is just a movie. But in real life, the reason a story like this is important is because it is real life that these things work in this manner, right? When you allow yourself to look at things in absolutes, that's when it's dangerous. And that's from any side of any ideology or any form of framework, institutional structure, whatever you know what I'm saying, like ideology, morality, whatever the case may be. When you're dealing in absolutes, it can be dangerous. And I feel like this is where a lot of people are right now. I see that, and I'm like, man, all over my timeline, it would appear like these are the people I'm looking. Everybody's an Anakin right now. Like, not everybody, but a lot of people are. Now, a lot of people are also Obi-Wan, right? Like, or are still in the good. They're still, they're still moving in the light. They're still convicted by that light, right? By that truth, by that love, by that, righteousness. And then here's the crazy part. You don't even have to believe what I'm saying for that to still be the truth. And I say that all the time. Like, you don't even have to believe in God or, for the manifestation of God's love to still work within your life. That's the crazy part, right? Or the power of God, for that matter, or which in this universe, in the Star Wars, that's the Force, right? The Force gives life. The Force, it's in all of us, right? The Force is the Spirit of God in real life. Whether you know it or not, whether you believe it or not, that's just the truth. That being said, even people that I know don't believe are still, that the Spirit of God is working within them because they are convicted by the very things they see or hear or say themselves or do themselves. When they know that the line is crossed, right? The Bible says that before the law was written on stone, it was written in the hearts of man, like it was written in our hearts. We can know good and evil, right and wrong, technically without really being told it, because it's written in our hearts. That's a fact. Because again, there's people that would have never, again, have not read the Bible, but still, and I'll put it like this: it's not a coincidence that more than just one religion, and I say religion for the sake of just to make it understanding what I'm saying, because I don't personally believe in religion, but for the sake of the conversation, just to generalize and make clear what I'm saying. It's not a coincidence that many lifestyles, many ways of life, many religions, many different faiths that are all kind of, different in their own kind of way. The parallel truths of good and evil, right and wrong, it's not a coincidence, is what I'm trying to say, right? I believe personally it all derives from the same place. But not to go too deep into that, just to bring it back to my main point is that it's just crazy because that's, again, when I saw that sequence recently, I'm like, holy cow, like this is what I feel like I'm watching in real time. I'm seeing a bunch of people like Anakin dealing in absolutes, right? Where they can't see past their own ways, their own what they believe is right, what they believe is good. But you know that to be the case because there's no longer room for conversation. Here you have Obi-Wan trying to converse with Anakin, trying to reason with him because the light in him would rather that be the forefront of action rather than the latter of what occurs. But then when you're hearing the dialogue of Anakin, it's I'll kill you. If you're not for me, you're my enemy, right? And it's just crazy to see that there are a lot of people that fundamentally think this way right now. And we can go down the rabbit hole, I guess, of how that is or why that is for sure. And rightfully so. These things are all up for discussion right now. There's really nothing that is off that should be off the table. It's kind of crazy to see people justify things or run away from the conversation at hand when it's like, no, technically all this is up for conversation at the moment. Everything's up for debate, so to speak. The details revolving around, let's just say that, and let's just be more specific, I guess, right? Because it's everything at this moment is revolving around this Charlie Kirk shooting, right? And again, rightfully so. I get it. You know what I'm saying? Like it really shouldn't it shouldn't really be in question why that is, right? Tragedies are happening daily. That's a fact. And not one is greater than the other in the aspect of value in life. Every life lost that we have lost up to this point it's a sad thing. Excuse me, it's a sad thing. But to like not understand why people are, I guess, really hurt by this one, right? Like why this it's that's kind of like you're being too naive or you're purposefully just don't like the truth about it, right? And what does that mean, right? Like let's just break that down a bit. Let's dig deep into that, and then but to bring it back, right? But like why does this matter, right? The reality is this man obviously, whether you disagreed with him or not, if you disagreed with him and you don't like him, then I could put you to the side for now. But for you guys to understand why others who were touched by him, I guess let's put it like this, right? If let's just say someone is like, let's say like a Bernie Sanders, right? I'm going to use him because I feel like he's has been a prominent figure, and he's kind of, I mean, I'm kind of jaded on him now more recently due to his just, I don't know. I feel like he's flaked out on a lot of things, but I will say I admire his words recently due to the situation that has occurred. I don't necessarily agree with the parallels he put all together, but there is also a parallel there there's a way to understand how the parallels he put do coexist. I don't think it coexists in the manner he was delivering it, but they do coexist nonetheless. But either way, let's just say someone like Bernie Sanders, who we know, for anybody who's, at the very least, we can maybe assume or agree, if not agree, assume that the things that he fights for, comes from a good place. It comes from the heart. And maybe if you're someone on the right side or on the right wing side, whatever, maybe you don't agree with his solutions, but nonetheless, you can't deny that there's a part of it that comes off like, okay, generally he is trying to figure something out. So I'm going to use him for an example. I mean, there's probably other examples I could use that were better, but I'll say someone like him just because I know that if it was the other way around and everybody saw that it happened to him on the other side of the fence, opposite of the Charlie Kirk side of the fence, you guys would be devastated, right? And again, I'm not so sure this is the guy I want to use. He's like he is a political figure. Charlie Kirk was a political figure, but technically not political. Like he's not a politician, so that I'm not sure if that goes. But all I'm trying to say is like it's not far fetched to understand why people who I guess subscribe to Charlie Kirk's, I guess ideology, his movement, whatever the things he did, and there is a lot of good he did, whether or not you like him or not, or whether you agree with his viewpoints or not. Regardless, there are things out there you can actually find that he has done that are good, like, and that in a sense are technically bipartisan, right? Like it really doesn't play. There's no politics with what he's done or said, but you can't deny that it is what it is, right? So all that to say, like, it's not far fetched to understand that, right? Let's just you can't equate again. Life is all valued, but then it's like it's or actually this is probably the easier way to put it. You lose a brother that hits home. That's actually probably the best example I could have given. And why is that? Because maybe that your sibling, your family, they've been a part of your life. They've actually done things for you that matter. So like you'll probably be more heartbroken for that loss of life than you would, let's just say, your neighbor down the block who you occasionally saw, you maybe said hi here and there, but you guys really weren't involved. His death would probably be like, oh, that's crazy, but you probably wouldn't be so heartbroken over it. Where obviously your own family is connected, there's more connective things, so you're going to be heartbroken over it, and then but because there's things that they've done for you, right? There's things that they've actually done, they've accomplished. Maybe that's the other part, right? The other aspect is you saw let's just say you saw your father, your mother, like the way they raised you, they took care of you, you seen them do good for people. Let's just say if they were good people, right? Let's assume, right? But anyways, in that case scenario where they've done good, regardless of whatever shortcomings they had in life, right? Because it's not like nobody's perfect. But that's what I mean. Like it's they've done something. So to you, perspective, or to the people that were in that person's life, prospectively, that hurts more than the disconnected version of the tragedy that does occur down the block, but it's not relatively, I guess, close, right? I'm just saying this to hopefully bring some kind of understanding here. It's kind of weird. Again, I'm kind of thrown aback by just the weird notion of how people are acting with this. How people are mocking certain people for being, I guess, hurt by his death, and or like other people that are like upset that all over the place, people and the news and everything are talking about his death, but they're not talking about these shootings that happen every day in Chicago, or like, and I'm only saying Chicago is where I'm from, and that's what I've heard. And again, it's like, bro, like nobody's, the country's not affected by the deaths that have happened in Chicago. You know what I'm saying? Like where, what I'm saying? Because not everybody in Chicago, or not everybody, in the United States is connected to what's happening in Chicago, where a man on the stature of Charlie Kirk clearly has touched people all over the country. So that's why it's obvious. My point, like it's not that they choose and I guess I'm just trying to dismantle that this argument of this idea that they only talk about this guy's death because elitism or because he's white or something. It's like chill out, man. Like this is what the hell, dude. Like no, it's that man is known. He was just known. Again, it could have been anybody that's known on that level. You're gonna, what I'm saying? Like, and especially if you're like involved like heavily, right? Like it's going to like, and again, this isn't the first time we've seen this. So like that's why it's weird that people are acting this way. You know what I'm saying? Like man, you know, like it's even somebody who even guys that aren't as like involved in, let's just say, doing good, but like have done some good, even though they have like a jaded let's say rap sheet for that matter. But like, let's say like there's a reason why Tupac Shakur's death was felt and Biggie Small's death, you know what I mean? Like Kobe Bryant, you know what I'm saying? Like uh, people of that stature, they get publicity when it comes to the deaths because they've done something with their lives. Like so, it's like it's not like, let's stop pretending like, oh, this is just a race thing, or it's just a political thing now. Like no, it's like this is what happens when someone of that stature dies, that's known, has the recognition, that's been doing things all over the country, all over the world for that matter. This is how it's talked about. This is how it's viewed. It's that's one aspect to this, right? So let's just not pretend. Let's not pretend like it's like this isn't the case for this guy. You know what I'm saying? He was known. You know what I'm saying? He was famous, right? And those that trying to act like they don't know he wasn't, they don't think like it's like, stop kidding yourselves. Like you're like, why lie? Why lie? Like it's when you feel you have to, you justify your actions. No, that's not what I'm trying to say. In the same sense that this guy, let's just say like in the movie, and again, just to not get too deep in the weeds just yet of what occurred, but let's just say like in this movie, the scene that I just shown, when you're already crossing lines that you shouldn't cross because you feel you're justified in doing so, you are lost. So if you have to lie just to be right, you've lost. You're losing. You're gone. Like you are dealing in the absolutes. You're dealing. You only a Sith deals in absolutes. You are a Sith. All right. You are a Sith. Think about that. You're in the dark side. Think about that notion. But like on a real life term, again, if you're dealing in those types of absolutes where you're justifying behavior that isn't right or that isn't true, you've lost. You're losing. That being said, right, that's one aspect. Like, so let's not pretend like, again, that nothing more than at the very least that first and foremost, right? Like it's like he was a prominent figure, he was famous. That's that. But then the reality is also it's the manner in which this happens, right? So, you can't equate, let's just say, gang violence to this kind of violence, political violence, right? Because gang violence, again, this is the people who again and this I'm speaking, I guess, more so to people in Chicago right now when it comes to this, right? There's people that are judging the fact that like these gang shootouts and gang violence that's occurred, although don't get me wrong, it is the same technically when it comes to like something like innocents dying in the wake of gang violence, which is actually it's even more sadder. And no, it's sad in the sense of like an innocent bystander. Unfortunately, like there is something sadder about that. And this is what I'm trying to get at. Like, let's not pretend like there aren't levels to this, that we can't like logically decipher why there's levels to this and why we view things certain. Like, let's stop pretending that. Like, let's just be honest. There are levels to this. There are ways to perceive things according to how they happen. So yeah, like when an innocent person dies due to a stray bullet, because they're not even, like they weren't in a gang member, they weren't part of the gang fight technically, but they got caught in the crossfires. Like it's like man, it's just we feel for that because it's like, yo, like they weren't even part of that. Like it's crazy that somebody who's just a complete bystander got shot. Kids, especially when it's a child that still had a future ahead of them. That's why like even like the active school shootings also are that's why that's touched on more than gang violence, because it's like, especially like when it's again now depending what news you're looking at, they're choosy about which shootings they're showing you in school, because school shootings happen a lot, but a lot of them mostly are due to actually gang violence. Gang on gang crime, whatever. I don't know if that's a term, but gang violence, whatever. But the reason why the other ones are reported more, the random school shooter, is because there's something about that is more tragic, right? Like it's like it's not even gang violence. It's just like, it's not a bunch of knuckleheads at war with each other. It's just some maniac going into a school and shooting a bunch of innocent kids. There is something more tragic about that, right? Like that's not it's not rocket science. It shouldn't be like hard to understand that. Like, let's, you know, so like people trying to make these points, it's kind of like ridiculous. This isn't the same. It's not even anywhere near the same, right? When you're talking about something like, again, like a school shooting of just like, again, a maniac just losing his mind and shooting a bunch of kids, innocent kids, right? And then on that same topic, in the same manner, again, something like also the Charlie Kirk assassination. That is just, again, that's more horrific than gang violence. That's more horrific than, people who are at war with each other, where we all understand it's the casualty, right? Like, there is something to that, right? Like, well, you guys are choosing to fight each other, so like, but it sucks nonetheless, right? It's not to say that it doesn't suck. It does, but like, to equate the two, it's kind of idiotic. It's idiotic. It's like, it's kind of crazy that you think that there's a correlation between the two when there really isn't. Again, kids that are just trying to go, that thought that they were going to go to school to learn, getting shot up out of nowhere. That's crazy. Kids that again, in prayer in a temple, like, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then those are tragedies, right? Like, we can acknowledge. And that's why those will always get more spotlight. Or like, again, something like the Charlie Kirk, where the man is just speaking, right? His form of thought, and just gets killed in cold blood, defenseless. There is something about those tragedies that are more tragic than, I guess you could say, like I said, gang on gang violence. You know what I'm saying? Gang warfare, or nation warfare, for that matter, right? Like, I'm sure there's soldiers and families dying every day, whether it's like, let's say, the Ukraine and Russia war, or the Hamas and Israel thing, like, but notice that the only ones that really get the spotlight are like the innocent casualties. Why? Because that is more tragic, right? Like, so like, it's not hard to understand that. Like, there is a way, like, we do definitely, human nature, we perceive things in certain ways, and some things just seem more tragic than others, and that's just a fact. So yeah, the fact that they're publicizing why Charlie Kirk's assassination was very public and is because, again, it's like, the notion of how he died is insane, and it's sad, and it's tragic, because it shouldn't have happened. Somebody shouldn't die or get shot due to opposite opinions, or for just speaking their mind, whether you agreed with their notions or not. Matter of fact, I'll even go further and say this: whether you felt offended or not, right? Because unfortunately, this is the world we live in right now, where it just seems like we have to be sensitive about how we perceive words. It's just crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, growing up, and again, it's not to say that people can't say the wrong things, but to equate a physical action of violence being the same level of like someone's words, it's just we're living in an upside down world. Like, whatever happened to sticks and stones may break my bones, but words would never hurt me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and granted, words can hurt, but like, to pretend like it's on the same level of physical violence, that's just crazy. Now, does that mean like, oh, to hell then, like, or let's not even consider then words or sort of looking for verbal abuse or something like that. No, of course we concern ourselves with verbal abuse still. Like, but like there are levels to this again. Like you can't generalize everything, and again, dealing with everything in absolutes. That's dangerous. And hence why we are where we are. It's dangerous to just deal with things in absolutes. That kind of rhetoric deals this kind of behavior. To equate again verbal abuse to on the same level of like physical abuse is crazy. It's not the same thing. You know, it's really not. I'm gonna tell you why it's not the same thing. I mean, well, no, actually, I'm not. I'm not even gonna waste my time. We know why. We know why, you know. And I'm not trying to say again, it's not to downplay verbal abuse. Verbal abuse does happen, and that in itself is sad. There is a sadness to that too, right? Like, nobody should be verbally abused, right? But then again, that loses its weight when you're trying to deal with all kind of speech that is opposite of your own, of what you believe to be true. If you're trying to equate that to verbal abuse, like then it loses its weight. And this is why we are where we are today. Like that's why racism has lost its weight, because it's like because somehow everything is now racist. Everything is now hate speech, or and offensive. It's like when you just generalize everything and deal with it in an absolute type of way, it's dangerous. And here we are, because somehow, somewhere down the line, all kind of speech that isn't, I can say everything is hate speech if I deem it so, and I can deem it offensive, and I can deem it hateful if I deem it so, and if I deem it so, then it is true. And it's like, well, that's not true though, right? And then all of a sudden, because that's abuse is just abuse, and now to the hell with you, to the end with you, because you are hateful and hurtful in your words, and now I shall take physical action against you. That's crazy. And I'll say this. I wouldn't, there's even levels to the, let's say this, even like the physical aspect to it, right? Like the physical abuse aspect, right? Like, or the physical action taken, or reaction taken for that matter, whatever the case may be. I've seen plenty of guys and girls, family and friends, who, like somebody said something that they didn't like, and then all of a sudden it was like, all right, let's throw hands. And even something about that is childish, right? But it happens, right? And man, you know what? I'm almost certain I did that too at one point, and it's a part of life. Like, where before you mature, you and unfortunately some people don't ever mature, and they still think on those terms. But again, even that, I would still prefer that than somebody taking somebody's life. You know what I'm saying? Like, so there are levels to that, right? Like, and that can also be said, is my whole point, because I've seen that as a point, and it's not the right point, but it's a point, and I'll give that some, at least I'll give that some weight in argument, right? Like, like, hey, yeah, if you don't like what somebody says, then throw hands, and I'll say that, like, I do prefer that over, killing, that's for sure. But even that's not the right answer, right? Like, because here's the thing. Some people have died due to brute force, because when you get that angry and you don't even realize what you're doing, you know what I'm saying? Like, people have died. People have ended with like serious physical conditions that are now affecting for the rest of their lives because of physical trauma, right? So yeah, like, again, there's levels to all of that, but like, there's for sure a separation. There has to be a separation between physical violence in action, I would say, due to words, right? Because again, how do we communicate then? You know, how do we communicate? Um, it just seems like we're really losing our way with these things. Um, and I don't know about you guys, but personally, I guess I just don't know what to make of these things anymore. You know, but not that I don't know what to make of these things anymore. I guess it really is concerning. Yo, Pin, appreciate you hopping on. Um, let me know what you think about what I'm talking about, brother, if you have your own thoughts. Um, blessings, Pastor Melvin. I see you on Facebook. Appreciate you hopping on. Um, so yeah, sorry guys. It just seems like we're losing ourselves here, and it is concerning. Matter of fact, I'll put this on. It is concerning. I want to share another sequence that I thought matters here, right? And this is gonna hopefully shed light on I guess what I'm choosing to do moving forward and how I continue to speak on this. But also I hope it, I don't know, tugs at you guys. You know what I'm saying? Let's see if I can bring it up. Let me bring that back. Bam, here. Boom, boom. Here we go. Oh, here was another sequence to share. And actually, hold on. Yeah, no, that's fine.
The white Portuguese is not a man. It's a ship.
Master Wayne, since the age of 7, you have been to the art of deception as Mozart to the harpsichord. But you've never been too hot at lying to me. The white Portuguese isn't carrying a dirty bomb. What is it carrying?
This isn't really it just yet, guys. Follow me here.
It's a weapon. It's a rock. A mineral capable of weakening Kryptonian cells. The first sample big enough to mean something turned up in the Indian Ocean 3 months ago. It is now aboard the white Portuguese being delivered to Lex Luthor, who I am going to steal it from.
To keep it out of Luthor's hands. To destroy it.
Destroy it. Nope.
No.
You're going to go to war.
That son of a bitch brought the war to us 2 years ago. Jesus, Alfred, count the dead.
Go on. Keep going,
Thousands of people. What's next? Millions. He has the power to wipe out the entire human race, and if we believe there's even a 1% chance that he is our enemy, we have to take it as an absolute certainty. And we have to destroy him.
But he is not our enemy.
Not today. 20 years in Gotham, Alfred. We've seen what promise.
Hold on. I think I missed it when he was saying it. Oh, there we go.
Take it as an absolute certainty.
Absolute certainty, right? Again, I'm using that word because I just feel that this is what we're dealing with here. And again, it's dangerous. Here's the parallel between these two movies and these two characters, right? Again, for Anakin, it's his fear that eventually drives him in the direction it drives him, right? Which is a key factor because I feel like this is where we're at, and hence why we're seeing the tragedies we're seeing. And why I feel it's important to note this. Anakin, and that's in the story in the Star Wars story, he's technically manipulated by his fear, right? To eventually succumb to the dark side, right? And then commits the atrocities he commits, which is on a grander level, hands down, compared to Batman. But here in this same picture, I want you guys to consider this. for Batman in this scene, in this movie, he is taking it as an absolute certainty that Superman is his enemy, even though there could be a percentage of him that knows he's not, right? But for the sake of what he believes to be true and absolute, he's looking at him as an enemy and is willing to take his life and is willing to go to war, right? Because that's that. But because he is convinced that Superman is bringing that war, but he is also motivated by the same thing, and that's fear, right? These movies, and I feel like that's important to know because I'm really not trying to judge 100, like, it's easy to just, I guess you could say, judge with a blanket kind of statement and, you know, just say people are evil, people are wrong, people are shameful. And the reality is all that is true. I'm just trying to look deeper than that, right? Like I want there to be some form of understanding, because what I don't want to happen is for people to fall into the trap of actually dealing in absolutes. That's the problem. I'm just trying to make sure that there's at least a way to make sure that everybody falls for the trap of dealing in absolutes. Because the way the media sometimes talks about things, this is the way you would think, and not just media, like even just promulgators and for sure like activists, and you know they'll promulgate things in a form of that makes it seem like everything is absolutely true, or like in this form or fashion, and that's just the way it is. And don't get me wrong, there is an absolute truth there. Like the problem is none of us, or not many of us, are even that acute to like properly knowing it. Like only a select few could. But even that is deciphered according to how you, I guess, live out your life, right? But I'm not going to go there just yet. I'm not trying to preach to y'all just yet, even though if it might come off like I'm preaching right now. But I'm not going to preach to y'all just yet. The reality is that, again, a lot of these people that are thinking this way and saying things that are just crazy, a part of me feels sorry for them, because I know that they think the way they think because of whatever traumas or whatever cards they were dealt throughout life and things that they had to deal with throughout life that has brought them to this place that they're so numb and so naive and so dumb. And I say that from a very caring place. And I say that because guess what? I was there at one point. You know what I'm saying? Because it's easy to manipulate emotion. And unfortunately, a lot of people's emotions have been manipulated into thinking in absolutes, into thinking that those that oppose their form of thought is their absolute enemy, or if anybody offers a opposite perception on something, or opinion, or believes a different type of faith, right? Like even the holy wars, this is what it comes down. That's what it came down to, is dealing in absolutes and dealing and moving from a place of fear, right? Like it's a thing. It's a thing, you know, but here we are, and it just seems like this is what's happening, and this is what people are dealing with, and this is where it's coming from. It's all coming from a place of fear. So what I'm not going to do is dehumanize a lot of these people, even though rightfully so. You know, I can see, I do see the Sith in you. I do see the demon in you, so to speak, the spirit that moves in you, that has you speaking crazy, that has you speaking delusionally, you know. But I'm not going to just say that without also saying like these things happen due to like what you go through in life. You know what I'm saying? Like what part of you was fed more, right? Was it the good in you, the God in you, that spirit in you, like you know what I'm saying, that part of your anatomy, or was it the other side, right? The evil, the sin, the flesh. What was fed more? What was watered more? What was fertilized more? You get what I'm saying? Like, because a lot of us get shitted on in life. That's what was fertilized, and then that's what has us grow to be either envious, bitter, resentful, confused, hurt. You get what I'm saying? Like, and that's I just don't. Again, that's to me what I'm hoping that I can two things here. One, reach out to those that are going hard right now, like, yo, chill out. Like, I know you're hurt. Like, as far as like those that were very much you know, I guess fans of Charlie Kirk. And not just fans, but or like, yeah, I guess fans or people that I guess just like love what he stood for and stuff. But then on the opposite end, I'm hoping that those that are just talking crazy about this man and the people that follow him, like, yo, slow your roll. Like you don't have to be this. You don't have to do this. You don't have to speak in this way. You're succumbing to your worst nature. And it's unbecoming of you. But I don't want to just shun you away either. You know what I mean? Like I hope I'm hopeful that maybe there's a way out of this for all of us. You know, where we realize maybe we can come to realize like what's actually important here, what's more important. You know, maybe for some of you, I can get you to realize that you're being lied to. You're being lied to and you're being manipulated, you know, into thinking that people that don't agree with your way of life is your enemy. You know, that they're deserving of death. That's a crazy thought. You know, that's not right. Especially when, again, you're talking about it from a place of words. Now, don't get me wrong. And I said this not too long ago in my last video where I did, you know, I could feel the heaviness of the emotion of what had happened when this guy got assassinated, and you know, I just felt the need to speak then. But make no mistake, like I get, you know, war is one thing, and you know, so like sometimes violence does have to occur, and I get that, right? There's a time and place for it, for sure. You know, especially when you have to defend yourself. And sometimes you do have to be on the offensive to defend yourself. And I get all that, you know what I'm saying? But that's one thing, right? War is one thing. And even that, it's kind of like, it's not to say that it's okay either. It's that in itself is also sad. But again, that's one of those things where you can't equate war to, you know, where it's like people have been shooting each other. It's like a live and active battle. You can't equate that to, again, someone who is just speaking his mind, you know, who just shared his thoughts, who promoted open debate. It's just not the same thing. It's just not the same thing. And again, I feel like a lot of you guys, and here's the thing, let me also say this, like, again, I wasn't necessarily like a fan. I'll say that because it's not like I'm not gonna pretend like I was a fan. I never really, I didn't watch his stuff like that. I did come across a few of his videos, and I thought a lot of it I agreed with. There were some things I did disagree with. But I say that to say that just because I disagree with him didn't mean I thought he was my enemy. That's, you know, far from it. But even somebody that disagrees with me on a large level, I wouldn't consider my enemy unless there was like an actual physical harm done to me. Does that make sense? Like, yeah, or, I mean, it should make sense. If somebody attacks me, that to me is, you know, FAFO. You know what I mean? That's fuck around and find out. You know what I mean? Like you try and swing on me, fuck around and find out. Try and do any kind of physical harm towards me and those that I care about, fuck around and find out. You talking about me, gossiping about me, or even somebody in my family, that doesn't move me anymore. At one point it did. You know, I'm not gonna, again, I can't pretend like I was always this of this mindset, but that comes with maturity. That comes with learning in life. And for sure, it goes without, you know, it goes without saying that, like, again, there is just a big difference between somebody who's trying to do physical harm to me and my family and those that I care about, and those that just are just saying things, whether it's from like a deliberate place of just you're trying to be offensive deliberately, you know. Again, there's levels to that as well, right? Like that's obviously worse than just somebody who's um at odds with my viewpoint on things, and we're just sharing our each other's I guess ideas or ideologies and our you know, I don't know, faith, you know, our faith or our political, you know, viewpoints, whatever, you know, I don't know. That's like one thing. And then like, yeah, like offensive, somebody just, you know, blatantly being offensive, that's a whole other thing. But like be honest about like how those two are separate. And I say that because like here's the reality. Like again, I didn't really follow this guy, but like all the like accusations that I hear about this guy, I know for a fact aren't true. Um, and especially like the specific things that they're pointing out, it's luckily enough, those are videos that I have caught throughout my like strolling of videos to watch that I came across, and none of them are true. And unfortunately, like this is the sad part is people are still manipulated and lied to and misinformed by like sound bites and like clips that take away context from like full-on conversations. That's the other crazy part is that we're still dealing with this. And it's just crazy that that's still a thing. Like how are we still this stupid, for lack of a better word? Matter of fact, not how are we, because honestly, that's not me anymore. How are y'all that stupid still? That you guys are still informing yourselves with sound bites, with 10-second clips, minute clips, 2-minute clips, whatever, that don't even fully give you context of like a larger conversation that 9 times out of 10 is either an hour, 2 hour, or 3 hours long. And then some of these clips are also augmented in a different format of how it was actually spoken, so it sounds even different. And a lot of people have their thoughts based on this and this alone. That's just crazy to me that we're still here, you know. Um, and quite frankly, it's it's idiotic to still be able to or to have yourself manipulated by these clips. And like, have you not learned anything, or how are you still stuck in that bubble? And I'm hoping you come across this so I can tell you, like, stop doing that. Stop basing your information, your knowledge, based on these short TikTok videos that you're watching, these short reels that you watch on YouTube, stories that you come across on IG or Facebook or something, that are just little segments, little clips meant to have you think a certain way rather than you forming your own thought, right? And the thing is, you can get this from all sides, right? Or both sides, I guess, or all sides, because the reality is there's more than just two sides, even politically. But when you're really diving deep into like ideologues, or ideologies and stuff like that, or even thought, school of thought, I should say that. But even for the sake of like left or right wing or Democrat or whatever, they both do that now. I feel like one does it more prominently than the other. But either way, like anybody who's informing themselves on this manner, it's like, yo, stop it. Stop it. Like, discipline yourself. Sit down and actually listen to the conversations being had. Like this video right here now is already a minute or an hour and 15 minutes. I hope you guys have the patience and the discipline to actually sit down and hear and watch the whole thing. Like, don't allow yourselves to continually be informed by just 10-second clips, 30-second clips, a minute clip. Like, what? Like, no, there's no excuse anymore. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was one thing when all you had was like legacy media, when all you had was legacy media. So it's like whatever you were at the whims of whatever 5-minute segment you got from like, MSNBC or CNN or Fox. And that was one thing when we just still didn't have the internet and all these like streamings or social media for that matter, where you can stream now and things are being streamed and long formatted conversations like podcasts, and like you have no excuse now. It's crazy. That's one. And then two, like, don't shy away from conversation. Like, you should be looking to always converse with people that disagree with you for two reasons. It's either going to inform you on what you don't know and what you've been misguided on, or two, it can reveal to you a chink in your argument, and at least you can go back and verify, like, okay, or see, like, okay, damn, I didn't know this. Let me make sure I educate myself, whatever, and this is how they got me. And then you strengthen your argument. But to like run away from debate, and just think that you just want to silence those who oppose you, that's crazy. That's crazy. And again, I don't even care. For me personally, I don't care if it's somebody that's on the complete like opposite spectrum of what I believe. I'd still give them their mouthpiece, especially because I also want to reveal who you are. The more you are able to speak freely, the more people are able to see who you really are. Are you a Sith? Are you a monster? You know what I'm saying? Cool. But again, words are not the same as actual physical actions, right? So it is a tragedy that this happened. And it's disingenuous, really and truly, because for those that are uh, being shameful in their behavior and how they're talking about what just occurred with this whole Charlie Kirk scenario, even for those that are like ignorantly, interrupting vigils on his behalf and things of that nature, it's sad, because it's like, I mean, you guys are monsters. You guys are acting like Sith. But it's also, it's sad because it's like, I'm sure there's more to your story. And unfortunately, all we get is what we see. But because you're too afraid to speak and too childish to actually speak your mind and be courageous enough to speak against those who oppose you and disagree with you, so you take these childish actions. People can learn more about you if you actually speak and are open to speak. But allow yourself to be challenged on either side. Like, that shouldn't be something that anybody runs away from. You always hear me on here, like, if you disagree with anything that I'm saying, let me know. Put it in the comment section. DM me. If you want to hop on and actually have a conversation, I'm open to it. Let me know. We'll talk about it. I want to hear what you have to say. But if I'm going to hear what you have to say, I expect you to hear what I have to say. We can have respectful dialogue. a democracy is a good conversation, right? That's another line from BVS. You know, Batman, which is Batman vs Superman. Again, one of my favorite movies of all time. Which again, the reason I love these movies is because these are the things it's depicting something about our humanity, the stories that it's telling. It's depicting something of us as a humanity, of our society, that I feel was hitting things on the nail. What Batman represented in that film, what Anakin represents in that respective film, you know, it's again, this is why I'm looking at and pointing to these movies, and I hope that I'm speaking on them. I hope you go rewatch these movies to see what I'm looking at. To hopefully you get fed and see what I'm seeing. I'm trying to, again, for all you guys that are being shameful out there, I'm still trying to see the human in you, regardless of how monstrous and demonic you are appearing to be at this moment. That's just like, it is what it is. Your choice of behavior is demonic. It's unsettling. It's unbecoming. It's sad. And also aggravating, because it's like, how dare you? How dare you? Because if it was you, like, and this was your family, if this was your person, you would not want to see this. It's crazy that you think you're okay in doing these actions, because if the roles were flipped, you wouldn't want this to happen, right? That's like, so it's almost crazy to see that you can excuse yourself in this manner and not for a second think about, if it was you, how would you want your enemies to act? There's here's another line to that let's see. Here we go. There's one of my favorite lines is from Troy, the movie Troy. And let me see if I can find it. And this to me was so powerful. And so I'm gonna see if I can find it, but uh, disappointed I didn't find it sooner, or like why I didn't think about it earlier when I was putting these together. But anyways, here's this line in this movie and a scene that I want you guys to see. Everybody's battle, but actor just fought this man's here son and killed him. Right? And then drags his son's body away from their castle, well, not castle, but the walls, to the city, and brings it to the camp of the Greeks, to his tent now, where he's at now. Well, the body's outside. But I just want you guys to see this interaction. And this is what I feel, again, we've lost. But hopefully this speaks to you guys. I remember seeing this for the first time, and I got chills. The notion of what this man is doing right now.
I have endured what no one on earth has endured before. I kiss the hands of the man who killed my son.
Priam? How did you get in here?
I know my own country better than the Greeks, I think.
Wow.
You're a brave man. I could have your head on a spit in the blink of an eye.
You really think death frightens me now? I watched my eldest son die, watched you drag his body behind your chariot. Give him back to me. He deserves the honor of a proper burial, you know that. Give him to me.
He killed my cousin.
He thought it was you. How many cousins have you killed? How many sons and fathers and brothers and husbands? How many brave Achilles? I knew your father. He died before his time. But
There's a lot of dialogue.
Not to live long enough to see his son fall.
But I want to kind of forgot where it actually says what he says that I really feel is, I mean, this is all really touching and moving, but
From me. My eldest son, heir to my throne, defender of my kingdom. I cannot change what happened. It is the will of the gods. But give me this small mercy. I loved my boy from the moment he opened his eyes till the moment you closed them. Let me wash his body. Let me say the prayers. Let me place 2 coins on his eyes for the boatman.
If I let you walk out of here, if I let you take him, doesn't change anything. You're still my enemy in the morning.
You're still my enemy tonight. But even enemies can show respect.
that right there. That right there. I remember seeing that scene for the first time, and I'm like, wow. That's, you know, even enemies can show respect. That's what's so crazy, just to see how that's not existent in the behavior of a lot of people right now. Because even if you are viewing the person whose opposite viewpoints of you is your enemy, well, damn, even enemies can show respect. Even enemies are deserving of respect. And so even if that is your viewpoint, like, damn, what happened to that? Like, where's that respect? And the reason it's important is because, again, it's like, you know damn well, like, you wouldn't want this to be the case if it was the other way around for your person or your people or your family. You would really not want that to be the case. And it's just weird to see people speaking the way they're speaking, acting the way they're acting about it. And that's the part that's saddening and sickening at the same time. And like I said, it's like both things could be true. And that's that, like, yeah, the reality is you are shameful, you're pathetic, but you're still human. And I could only hope you come to your senses, and I can only hope, you see the light, because you are right now in the darkness if this is your behavior, of acting shameful towards and having disregard for what happened. It's not like, again, a lot of people, like, they zone in on one thing, and they'll just specify, like, that they don't want to mourn his death, and nobody's telling you to, but you are also being insensitive. Some of you are being insensitive to the family of those that are living. And again, if it was the other way around, is this really what you want your family to see? Or is this something you would want to witness against your own family, against your own blood? this is where I'm like, where's the thought to anything that you're saying or doing at this moment? You know? Um, but again, I feel like a lot of you guys can't see that or aren't even thinking about this because you're already dealing in absolutes, right? And if this person's absolutely your enemy and everything that they do absolutely offends you and is absolutely in ill will, then you're trying to justify and excuse yourself by you're finding illegitimate reasons to justify what you're doing. Um, and again, it's I'm kind of I'm in a good place about it right now. You know, like I said, because I've been doing a lot of reflecting. But make no mistake, when I was first witnessing, and even right now, it's every now and then I'll come across something. I'm just like, it kind of does sadden me, and it kind of does make me boil sometimes, because I do think about like, man, if that was man, if that was me, boy, oh boy, like if somebody went crazy and talked about my family like that, I don't know if I'd be as calm as I am right now, you know. Um, but again, it's like I've had time to, just kind of pray and reflect on these things, and I'm just trying my hardest not to fall into the trap of being the very people that I feel are being despicable at this moment. I'm trying to rise higher to the occasion and be a better man about it, um, or a better person, I guess, for that matter, just in general. But and hope that some people do the same, But even on the opposite end, I'm hoping again. I'm trying to hopefully encourage those that are, I guess you could say, maybe super close to the situation, and maybe to we're fans of Charlie Kirk, where I imagine you're probably hurting more, obviously, about the situation than I am. I hurt more in the sense of because I know what it meant when I saw what happened happen. Again, it's not like I was a big Charlie Kirk fan. It's not that I disagreed with him heavily or anything like that. There were some things that I probably disagreed with him on. And if I can even be honest, I think it was like more, I think like faith-based ideology, like maybe certain outlooks on things, if I'm correct. And maybe some of it was, maybe a few of the things are political, but I guess, maybe I didn't always agree with, or here's the thing, like even up to now, like there's certain people that I feel that speak and represent something that I feel are misrepresenting something at the time, and that's where I disagree with the person at that moment. I feel like they were like a misrepresentation of what the actual thought is behind the said discussion or something or topic. So that could also, if I remember correctly, was probably a thing. But not to say that I thought he was a bad guy, not that I thought he was a bad guy. I thought, again, I came across a lot of videos where technology, he did do a lot of good. And I genuinely thought that what he was standing for, as far as like open debates and, going to college campuses and universities to have these discussions, to me personally, that was a good thing. And he was shameless when it came to speaking about his faith, which a lot of Christians don't have the balls to do. So my hats were always off to him on that manner. Again, even though like I know for a fact there are certain things ideologically, or maybe that's not the word I'm looking for. I feel there's a term that's not coming to my mind right now, but when it came to like the faith-based stuff that I had some disagreements with him on, but not enough to say like, oh, he's not a real child of God. No, I think he really was. He really represented Christ, or he not represented. He spoke on his relationship with Christ, Jesus Christ, and he always spoke about how he felt like that. How integral that was to, human life and things of that nature. So like he represented that. He lived by it. He for sure spoke on it. Where again, a lot of Christians don't. A lot of people are afraid to speak their faith. So that's why I do respect him for that as well. Like I said, unfortunately, I wasn't like I didn't watch all his videos. There's still a lot of videos I'm sure he has out there that I never watched. I never really watched his podcast. Only had a podcast. I didn't really watch that a lot. I mean, I came across it from time to time, and yeah, if I had time, I'd watch it. But it's not like it wasn't a go-to. I'll say that. Like it really wasn't a go-to, you know. But all that to say that you know, I I was affected by it just because what it signified for us as one as a society, culture for the culture, politically, uh, and then just the outright just disturbing image of that, and then knowing that his family was there for it and the people that did love him, right? And I just thought to myself, just like that. That's what hurt, the most. Again, I personally am not affected, like in the sense of like that. Oh, Charlie Kirk. I love the man or something like that. Like, that really wasn't my relationship to that to Charlie Kirk. Again, I respected him. I did it. I admired a lot of what he stood for. Like how he went about things. And but again, it was more so. I was more so affected by just knowing that this is bad. A man just got killed for speaking. Like, and that's that. A man just got killed for speaking. Period. And that is just as bad as what was her name? Irene or something like that. On the train, a woman just got stabbed for breathing. She wasn't even speaking. She was just breathing, sitting down in a train, minding her business on her phone, and stabbed to death. Those things are tragic, right? And that's what hurt me, is that it was just like, man, like children praying, shot. They were, saying they were killed for their beliefs. That's a crazy thing. And what's sadder about it is like knowing that the beliefs are not even like threatening beliefs. That's what's sad. And there are idiots out there that are convinced that it is. That's, what I'm saying? Like, that's sad. And they've gotten driven to the point of being delusional and thinking that it's absolutely true that Christians are their enemy, which is just crazy to think. Because it's like, you don't know anything about Christianity then. Like, that's sad. That's what's crazy. And again, it's one thing if there was like action taken against you, then by all means, like, like if somebody, not saying that this is the right thing to do, but I'm just saying I can at least understand it. Is like if somebody shot at you, you shoot back. Okay. Like, what I'm saying? Like an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. That's at least understandable, even though it's not like 100% like, hey, this is what it should be. But I'm just saying it's understandable. Where this is just, again, it was sad, because it's like, yo, like this man was just talking to students, children, teenagers, debating and just opening up dialogue. That's the danger. You guys, those who are mocking his death, and then the fool that decided to take his life, the coward, I'd say that. Which, I'll be honest, like that's the other part of this that's actually kind of like really like being overlooked by the people talking shit, is like, you guys are hiding behind a coward. So you guys are like bigger cowards, right? Like the man who took the shot was a coward himself, right? He took a shot from 200 yards away, cowardly. And against a man that just was speaking, cowardly. Like that's a coward move. Didn't even have the balls to at least come up close, bro. You know what I'm saying? And even that still would have been like, yo, you're a coward. Like the man, like the brave thing to do is speak. You're being challenged to debate the man. It's almost as if, though, like, here's the reality also to that I think we might have to consider. And it's like, I think you guys lost. This is what that admits, is you guys lost the argument. You there's no proponent on your side that you thought could actually speak for you. So you felt, oh no, this man is speaking the truth to bear about what I believe, so I have to take him out. That's what this looks like. Because if not, like you, if there was hope for you guys, if there was somebody with a decent argument for you guys, then I just don't see why you would have felt that this would have been the move, you know? And I say we because like there's clearly people that think like him, because there's people that justified his actions for him. You know, they're trying to justify his actions for him. And all you guys you guys are all cowards, more cowards, because it wasn't even you who took the shot, but you're hiding behind the man that did. And now you want to puff up and talk that smack online. It's cowardice. You're still a coward. Like, you're more of a coward, you know, because now you're talking that smack, you know. But again, I say that just to state the truth, but not because I can't see the human in you. Again, my hope and my prayer is that you guys come to reckoning with what you guys have fallen into, you know, because it's sad. And I say this because a lot of these people, some of them are my friends. I'm seeing a lot of my friends out there just talking crazy, and I'm not going to be one of those people now that are like, and look, you do you. Everybody's going to move and do what they do. I could only share my experience and how I'm choosing to go about this, how I feel moving forward. You know, and I know there's people like, oh, I had to unfriend a lot of people because a lot of them are monsters. And again, I don't blame them for doing it. Again, a lot of them were talking, you know, also are, you know, have talked directly. And you guys also saw me on my last video where I was giving my thoughts and my condolences and prayers, where I also did call out those that were Charlie Kirk fans, supporters that, you know, and or at the very least similar ideology or something that were in a sense calling this war now because, you know, Charlie Kirk got murdered, and I called them shameful, you know. Because at the end of the day, it's like, well, the actions of one man can't you can't justify. That's unfortunately even the reckless cycle within gang warfare, you know, or even national warfare, whatever. Is that it's always the next guy who pays the price, you know, rather than it just being settled with those who it concerned. But I get it because, again, there is some part of me that understands though the anger and the frustration. So like I said shame on them, but at the same time, I'm not gonna pretend like I don't understand where that frustration and anger comes from. I get it because the shooter represents something, right? It represents a position and idea that has been spoken and has been there's another word I'm looking for, but it has been said, right? Where there is people that want to silence those that have an opposite of opinion. There has been rhetoric around vilifying those that are of opposite. You know what I'm saying? These things are being said, and this shooter represents all those people. Even though some of those people are right now trying to act like, oh, you know, and say the political violence is not, there's no room for it here, whatever. Some of them, you know, I can say, hey, you know, kudos to you because at least you've been consistent with that viewpoint. Some of those out there, like, not very much not consistent. Like, no, you did talk that shit though. You are, you know, for all this talk about, you know, a lot of them who try and say, oh, you know, Trump incited a January 6th or something like that, whatever the case may be, right? And they believe that's a thing. Well, I hope you guys hold yourselves to the same standard because it's almost safe to say that you guys have incited this, you know, this behavior. And granted, here's the thing. Even that being said, I personally don't believe that. hence why I don't go there, right? So even with this guy's actions, I'm not going and saying war. No, 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 no. Like that's retarded. This man should be held accountable on his own decision that he made to pull that trigger and do what he did. Him and him alone. He's the one at fault here, 100%. That's that. But yeah, I'm not going to pretend like there isn't room for conversation of like, yo, I gotta chill out on how you guys talk about these things. And this again does go both ways, right and left, right? But I do feel like I've only really seen it mostly happen with left-wing media outlets, left-leaning people, spokespeople, and activists for that matter. I guess I hardly really see it happening on the right whenever I see them, talk. But I have heard it come from the right as well. And again, it's kind of it's sad because it's like, yo, you're doing too much, you're saying too much, and you're gonna eventually get to a point where you can't reverse. You know what I'm saying? You can't reverse what's about to happen. And here we are now. So it's like shame on those for sure that have talked crazy rhetoric. Because yeah, I feel like you are part blame, but not 100%. Because again, we can really only hold the man accountable that took the action. He's the one ultimately responsible, and that's the fact. I wouldn't, it's like, I'll put it like this. Even when it came to the Donald Trump thing, let's just say this. I never thought you can make that a legal argument, but I could always understand why people felt that was a thing. Not that I 100% agreed with it, right? Because people spin it and make it seem or sound like he called for what actually happened to happen, and that's like also this is what I mean when you stretch the truth. Now you're lying, and this is where it's like you become discredible when you do this, and then it sucks because now we're already in a position of talking about things in a very dishonest way. It's like, yeah, he did tell these people to go protest if they felt some type of way, right? His people, and then eventually it turned into a riot. But even then, riot in some regards, in some instances, the whole thing definitely wasn't all rioting, right? So that's also a very dishonest way of talking about it. But either way, stupid shit did happen, right? But I never thought that was a legal argument to make, like, oh, just because he told people to protest. I didn't think that was like a legal argument to be made there. But also just I never thought you can't blame someone's actions on someone who didn't really speak anything close to that matter. So even in this case scenario, like I don't necessarily blame the people that are speaking, the rhetoric they're speaking for what this man chose to do. The man chose to do what he chose on his own, but it would be dishonest, and this is really not the same. This is why I said, going back to that Bernie thing, right? You tried to make a correlation between like what happened on January 6th with all the other political like violence that has occurred, or even just maybe even cultural violence, and it's like it's not really the same. This and that's why there's like a dishonesty there, right? Like, so yeah, like homie told people to protest. That's that, and to to share their whatever. Which again, not that I think that should have been a thing. I'm not saying that I agree with it, what he did there. I'm just saying that that's the truth of what he said. And then shit went where we're at, and that's that. But that's different from calling, for there to be unrest in the streets, which we have seen, right? Like those clips are out there. Those these people are on video saying these things like, go out there, commit unrest, like, or the likes of like, oh yeah, I'm surprised that there isn't unrest in the streets because this is political madness and these guys are fascists and these guys, like, you're already this again. You're talking in absolutes, right? Especially when you start labeling things, right? So it's like it's And yeah, the right has said its thing too, right? Like, because they all put like this. They both have said the whole threat to democracy line, which it's like, okay, how the how becomes more evident when you start actually seeing the actions, right? But it's about that rhetoric, and again, that's why on both sides I'm saying don't do it because it's easy. It's easy to fall into absolutes. This is war. Like this calls for war. Like no, you're dealing in absolutes. Like refrain from that. Hmm. We really have to be careful with how we speak on these things, and that's why even I'm trying to be careful in how I'm speaking on this. Um, or at the very least, like be careful, but or like be clear also, right? Be clear, and hopefully nobody has the idea or thought to lie on whatever I'm saying and try and clip me and just like no, I said a lot more. But the whole point is like again, it's there's always more to these scenarios, right? And don't get me wrong, like there are for sure instances where like no, the evil was just evil and that's what it was and that's what it is. And that's also true. Like that does exist, right? But but yeah, there's all that to say that there's like nuances to be had even now up to this point in with what has occurred, right? And hence why I'm trying to not view those that I do see acting despicable as nothing but just despicable. It's like I can say that you are being despicable because you are, but also realize like you're still a human being and I wouldn't want you to die and I don't want nobody to take your life and I don't want anybody to stop you from speaking, but you are acting despicable or you are acting careless. You're acting some of y'all acting hypocritical. Some of you are acting like you guys are liars. You guys are being dishonest. You know, um, you guys are being gullible. You guys are, what I'm saying? Like whatever. Like I can say that you guys are being something because you are. But again, it doesn't mean that I can't see the humanity in you. And hence why I'm choosing to still try and at least reach out even that far because I know that there's some people that are for sure like probably like yeah, they don't deserve it, they're not worthy of your mercy, of your grace. And all I can say to that is this is you know the Bible's clear, like the amount of what's the I'm sorry, hold on, I'm trying to think of what the actual verse is. Pretty much if you fail to forgive, God won't forgive you, right? There's one that's something along those lines, if I'm correct. Or I think there's even one that's like the measure of mercy or the measure of grace that you give is the measure that God will give unto you, is the measure that will be given unto you. So again, in these scenarios, I'm trying to, for sure, where I can place mercy and grace, give it. I won't pretend like there aren't instances where I'm not going to probably be a little bit more firm and a little more harsh. But I'll say this much, even with the killer. Unfortunately, he is a victim to false ideology, right? Like, let's call that what that is, right? Anybody who's kept up with what he was into before he committed what he committed, he's a victim, unfortunately, like a lot of people, to false ideology, to false information, being misinformed, thinking that this man really is a fascist because he's told that people that think like that and that are on that side of the aisle are fascists and that they're all bigots and that they're all racist. He was fed lies because like that's what it is. And this is the sad part about even um, the Democrats that are not going to ever admit this is that they crossed lines here. And they probably will never even admit it because it would mean that they'd have to admit that they've been lying this whole time. But this is my issue when it comes to that side of the fence. Is like you guys just move with so much hypocrisy and dishonesty that it's nerve wracking and unsettling. Now, granted, I'm not going to pretend like I haven't seen it on the right also because I have. Man, is it just very prominently, especially in the most recent years, happening with the left side of things. And it's just like, man, like y'all just are hypocrites, man. Um, you know, it's they won't admit that, and that's the part that's crazy because it's like, again, you guys are calling guys like him this, and you go online and then people just are all in this viral moment, right? And it's like, oh, let me, yeah, I'm also gonna, and some of you just have to wonder, like, man, either you're just a sad person that was misinformed, or you are just deliberately lying because because this is the tactic you have to succumb yourself to because you've lost the argument. This is what this shows me. When you take steps that are for sure unbecoming of yourself. So whether it's again from the most extreme end of like something like this shooter and most recent shooters alike, right? That like as far as like even the school shootings and things of that nature, when you go that far, that's the most extreme end of knowing that you've lost your argument and that you're wrong, but you don't want to be wrong. But even lower or like lower level than that is also if you have to lie to supposedly tell your truth, which is just an irony in it all, then you're also you've lost the argument. You now know you can't win the argument on truth and facts alone. So you now have to lie and you have to smear and you have to be dishonest. That tells me you have no good argument to stand on. Hence why you're taking these actions, these brash actions. It's you see it all over too. Like some people even be like, all right, well, show me evidence. And there's really no evidence. Or like I said, the evidence is dishonest because it's like either a augmented clip or like just a portion of a clip without context to what was actually being said holistically, which matters, which does matter, Anyways, I'm choosing to be respectful of my enemies. That's what I'm trying to do. Uh, I'm trying to also just see the human in those that I agree with and disagree with. Um, there's another sequence though that I thought was very touching, and I guess where I guess is why I'm trying to move and discuss this in the manner that I am, opposite, I guess, of what I'm seeing a lot lately. Whether it's again, if you were a fan of Charlie Kirk, whatever, and you're on that side, and you're obviously hurt and in pain and grieving over his loss, and then obviously, your heart is for the family and all that, and again, understandably so, and then you're now angry uh, and taking a firm stance against those that you see are acting shamefully and despicable and deplorable, on the way they're acting, around Charlie Kirk's death and even his family for that matter, lack of thought over his family and stuff of that matter. But I just don't want to fall into the trap of just being angry. That's I guess what I'm trying to get at, and I'm hoping that there's still hope for even those that have for sure lost any sense of decency with actually like having any kind of redeemable quality of a human being to even be looked at still as a human being. I'm trying to be hopeful. Because the reality is, again, like, a lot of us are just manipulated and used by our own emotions for the most part, and we all fall short of that for sure at one point. And obviously, there's just a very big, I guess you could say, like, part of that, of those that are for sure, like, just in that space for a long time recently, I guess. But I'm trying to see if I can find it. This is I guess I'll end it with this, because there's a lot more to say on this matter, but I don't want to make this too long, and it's already 2 hours, and there's so much more to be said about this, and I'll probably hop back on and talk about it. But for now, this is what I'll leave you guys with. Um, or as food for thought. These are two sequences of kind of, I guess, where I'm standing here with this when it comes to how I want to move forward. So one is this one. You haven't seen best Superman movie out there, honestly. Way better than the more recent one that just came out. Um, I'm letting you guys see the whole sequence because I want you to just understand where the conversation is coming from. This is a lot of us in life, right? Where you feel something is bullying you or oppressing you. Sometimes it is a specific person, whatever the case may be, right? Obviously, Clark chooses to do nothing. There's always, hopefully a human being that'll see you in pain and hurting and is there for you to lift you up. But this conversation right here is key. Oh, you guys can't even see it. Hold on. Tweaking. I totally forgot. I'm just gonna play the conversation.
Did they hurt you?
Yeah, they can't.
It's not what I meant. I mean, are you all right?
I wanted to hit that kid. I wanted him so bad.
I know you did. I mean, part of me even wanted you to, but then what? Make you feel any better? You just have to decide what kind of man you want to grow up to be, Clark, because whether that man is good character or bad, he's going to change the world.
So you have it within yourself to decide who you're going to be. Good character or bad character. And whoever that is, it is going to change the world, right? Those of us who are honest will say, and someone like Charlie decided to be a good character. And he changed the world, in this time, in this day and age that we live in. And even his death, I think, is going to change the world even more. I think there's, which is crazy. If the idea was like, oh, we got to shut him up, like you really didn't. I think you guys actually emboldened that, his voice. And I think there's more to come. I think you just, all you did really is embolden, uh and I say you guys, I say that because, again, that it's easy to fall into that shooter being a representation of those that think like him, because clearly, again, there are those that celebrated it and thought that it was the greatest thing to have happened, and thinking that there was something good to be had out of it. And I think it's really the only reason they they did that is because truthfully they know it's the message that he spoke is probably now just going to be 10 times louder. So there's, again, if the idea was to like shut that voice and that opinion, and you didn't, you're not. I think you just embolden more people to speak it. And honestly, yeah, like even for someone like me, I'm kind of thinking like, man, like, you know what? I'm gonna, do my best to stand on what I believe and speak my mind freely on how I feel and or what I feel to be true and what I believe to be true, I should say. Um, but you decide which character you want to be, good character, bad, because whoever that is, it's gonna change the world. And sometimes the world isn't as big as what we think. Sometimes the world is the people around you, your community, your family, and whatever choice you choose, that affects them too, right? Think about that too. Like, think about having to be the parents of this child who just did this atrocity. And I mean, again, we're speaking about this manner, but man, this actually happens a lot more often than not. You know what I'm saying? Like, about, with parents that actually did try their best to, you know, or at least the best of their ability and to the best of their, let's just say, maybe knowledge at the time of raising their kids, right? And some of them still end up doing, making the wrong choices, falling in with the wrong crowd, doing the wrong things, and and then their child is now known for being a gangbanger slash murderer. Like, again, I feel for those parents. It's not easy on them either. Imagine that. Imagine you have to live the rest of your life, people knowing your son murdered somebody in cold blood. Imagine that. But so I feel for them too. A part of me feels for them. But yeah, who are you going to be? And I think we still have it within ourselves to choose to be good. And I hope those that are up to this point have chosen to be bad. I hope you change that around. Again, disagreeing with someone is one thing, but blatantly trying to call them something or smear it, like it shows that you have nothing. You don't have a good argument anymore, and you've lost. And that's that. That's what that shows. Uh, so yeah, that's that. But there's another sequence just to keep going, so you guys can get a mindset of why I feel how I feel about what I'm, why I'm taking the course of action I am. Here we go. I'm gonna fast forward this. This is Batman vs Superman. This is his death, or his funeral, I should say. But there's a conversation I'm just gonna jump to, so that way we don't waste too much time. Although the visuals are really good. Here we go. And this is why this scene is important to me. I feel.
Oh, circus is back east. They're an empty box.
They don't know how to honor him, except as a soldier.
I failed him. In life. I won't fail him in death. Help me find the others like you.
Perhaps they don't want to be found.
They will. And they'll fight. We have to stand together.
Hmm.
100 years ago, I walked away from mankind. From a century of horrors. Man made a world where standing together is impossible.
Man is still good.
We're still good.
We fight. We kill.
Kill.
We betray one another. But we can rebuild.
That right there.
We can do better. We will. We have to.
Give me goosebumps. Movies like this matter. Movies like this matter. The message is important. Again, what's powerful about that sequence is, again, Batman is the man who saw things in absolutes, at least when it came to Superman, right? And actually, well, yeah, mostly revolving Superman and I guess those he deemed his enemies, right? That sent them down the path of trying to kill Superman at a certain point, right? Now, granted, yeah, they eventually changed course. Unfortunately, in a way, it still led to Superman's death, right? But what I like about who Batman represents, I feel like in this scenario, is that I feel like he is some of you guys that have lost their way. That's what Batman represents. See, in this movie, he for sure, his character is a character that's been jaded by his life circumstances and like where the loss that he's gone through, the trauma, that it got to a point that this is who he's become, where he lost his way, right? And luckily by the end of the film, he finds himself again, right? And he finds this rejuvenation and purpose, even though he feels responsible for the death of Superman, right? That's why he says, I failed him in life, right? I won't fail him in death. So a part of him takes on the accountability of Superman dying, which is just something, because again, it goes back to it takes a strong person to acknowledge where they have fallen short, where they have failed, what they've done wrong. And so he does that in this scene. And then acknowledging that all men go through this. We all fall short. We all fall short. We kill, we fight one another, we kill one another, we betray one another. But we can rebuild. We can rebuild, we can do better, we can be better. And we will. And I guess that's my hope. That's my hope, and that's what I have faith in. That I feel like a lot of us who have lost it, because I have, and technically I'm still on that journey, man. Like I sit here knowing damn well, like I've fallen short of what that's supposed to be many times over. And but I choose not to give up on still finding my way back, and day by day trying to find the opportunities to make the righteous choice, to make the right choice. And I'm going to leave you guys with one last sequence to end it with, the end all be all of that trilogy. And to where, again, I stand on this.
He'll be here, Alfred, I know it.
What makes you so sure?
Faith, Alfred. Faith.
It's faith. You got to have faith, man. You got to have faith that things will change for the better. Things will change for the good. As long as we keep, again, moving with our best foot forward, not allowing ourselves to fall into the concept of dealing and seeing things in absolutes. I mean, it's not to say that there aren't things that can't be absolute, right? Because there is absolute evil, for sure. But before you deem that you know what that actually is, make sure you actually go out of your way to see if that's true, and make sure that what you actually think is evil, or the person that you deem as evil is evil. Like, make sure you're learning like that. Make sure, you know what I'm saying? Like, what upon what foundational truths are you basing this on? Right? Which that's a whole nother topic of discussion. That's why I said there's a lot to be said here about everything that's transpired and things that keep transpiring. Again, I'm seeing a lot of people out there just being reckless, you know what I'm saying? Being reckless. And it's just like, who made you the arbitrator of what's right and what's wrong? How are you absolutely certain that what you believe is true? How are you absolutely certain that what you believe is right? How do you know that for a fact? Other than some stupid clickbait BS that's out there. Other than TikTok education that you've educated yourself with. What else have you done to learn more? To get the bigger picture? Because that's the other thing. Some people are like, oh yeah, no, I did the research. Bro, all you did was go deeper in the rabbit hole that you've already been digging in this whole time. Do not tell me you're well educated on something if all you did was go out of your way to just further yourself deeper into what you have already believed to be true. Did you even bother looking at the other side of the argument? Did you even bother to see what else is being said out there? If you haven't, then no, you have not done your due diligence. You have not. The best pastors and preachers that I've come across in life are the ones that challenge their congregation to actually do the research. Go read it for yourself. Don't take my word for it. They'll encourage, like, go look it up. Do the work. Like, don't just take my word for what I'm saying up here. This is what I know to be true, but do that for yourself. Because that's the only way you'll actually ever really know. And that's the only way you can actually ever really stand upright, because you actually did the work. You actually went out of your way to see all sides of the story, all sides of the topic at hand. All, you know what I'm saying? That's the only way you'll know. So if all you've ever done is just look at these quick little videos out there, then you don't know shit. And if all you've ever done is just continue to go down the rabbit hole of what you already believe, then you haven't done shit. That, like, there's more. Then I'm sorry, there's more. You know? Being raised in something for just quite some time, or it's more than that. Do the work, do the research, learn. And don't be so quick to dismiss things until you get the bigger picture, until you see the full picture. You know, like, it's because either way, I can guarantee you this is, when you do that, you will find the truth. And when you do that, then you'll value the truth. And when you do that, then you'll value life. Because there's no way I can see you here dismissing the value of anyone's life, anyone's for that matter, if you really knew the truth. And if you really knew the truth about life and about love and about God and about people, then I wouldn't be seeing you talk about that rhetoric. I wouldn't see you being acting so greedy, acting so selfish, only considering your own thoughts and emotions when it comes to these certain matters. I'd be seeing you thinking about others. And here's the thing, I say this from experience, because even I have fallen short of these things. And here's the thing, you can somehow still fall short on these things, even when you do know what's right and what's wrong. Because I still do from time to time, you know? And that's why from time to time you'll hear me say, like, yo, my apologies and my bad if I have offended somebody, or if I crossed the line on something, because sometimes I passionately talk about certain things that I'm passionate about, you know, and I might say something that's very hyperbolic and hurtful, you know what I'm saying? And you know, and then realizing, like, damn, okay, you know, there was probably a better way of expressing what I felt. It happens all the time. We're human. But again, it takes a different kind of man to acknowledge that they've crossed that line, that they've fallen short, and but that being said, even if this is you, I still have faith in you that you can come around, so all I ask is you do the homework, do the research, and be open to discussion. And acknowledge you were off. You're off. You're off. And that there's still room for you, though. There's still time. There's still every moment you're alive. Every moment you're alive. Every moment you're drawing breath. There's still time for you to change things around, for you to be better, for you to rebuild, for you to be good. And that's on a day-to-day basis. It's not just something that happens and that's it. No, it's daily. It's daily. Every day you wake up, every breath you're drawing, every step you're taking, every word you're speaking, all of us. And this is for all of us. We all have to do it day by day, moment by moment. Choose what's righteous, choose what's right, choose what's good. Move in love. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, there's more to discuss about this, but we'll save it for another time. Maybe we'll save it for next week or something. And I'm hoping I get more people to engage with this conversation and share their thoughts. Hopefully I can bring some of my guys on. I know that, some guys I've been talking to, we have thoughts on this matter. And this was clearly done, not from the studio where I've been doing it from. I had some things come up where just like this is the only place I could do it at the time, and it's okay. But next live I'll probably be back in the stew. But as for today, here we are at La Casa Vega. All right. That being said, guys, and on a more happy note, I guess, or joyful note, or just a note of pure, just good emotion. I just dropped my single, SML. It's called SML. It's pretty much an abbreviation for Show My Love. If you haven't heard it, go check it out. It's on all streaming platforms. It's might not be everybody's cup of tea. I'll put it like this: it's for sure explicit. I wouldn't recommend listening to it with your child around, unless they have no clue about what is being spoken about. But if you're not even trying to have that conversation, then again, don't listen to it with them in the car or around you. It's very much talking about intimacy. But it's a vibe, man. And again, it's got that it's got that club drill type vibe to it. It's called Show My Love. It's called SML, literally SML. You put that, and the cover says SML remix, and it's because it's technically a remix to Show My Love. Yeah, that being said, guys, give it a listen. If you're not subscribed to any of my channels, please subscribe, whether it's YouTube, X, IG, Facebook. Give me a follow, subscribe, hit the notification bell, drop in the comment sections. Let me know what you guys think. And yeah, if you disagree with me, even more so if you disagree with me, please let me know. Have the courage and balls to actually say something and speak to me. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm a very reasonable person, I feel. And I can respect somebody who at least has the decency to want to talk and converse and chop it up with me on the chop shop. That being said, much love, guys. Peace out. It's your boy. We are out of here. Peace.
I want you to stand up tall and proud. I want you to speak up clear and loud. Brown baby.
Pensando cómo lo puedo lograr, en cómo lo puedo hacer, cómo cuido a mi mamá y también a mi bebé. Solo tengo que josear y eso ya me lo sé. Hay días que despierto sin ánimo, pero me tengo que motivar, que nadie te va a ayudar, que no lo vaya a lograr. Eso dicen los demás, pa'l carajo los demás, que aquí pues se les va a enseñar. Aquí les caigo y les traigo un talento que lo dejan bien pálido. Si se prendieron, algunos dijeron que estos son pa' los que sí tienen talento. De verdad, se jodió todo porque yo nunca voy a parar de josear. Ya, pero un día, ojalá yo con ganar doble A. Dile a Mike Cabe que me tire para hacer un collab. Sin pijama, Nati, que me invite a la casa. Ojalá, ojalá. Ja, ja. Te era algo para sentirme fiebre. El meme. Ahora dejo que el divino Vega que lo parta. Vega.
From the past to the present to the future, been fucking the game up, different angles, Kama Sutra. From handguns to machine guns, flamethrowers to bazookas, goes down in these streets to inside your computer. Your streets made of tears, Reese's fans like Medusa. Y'all crying in the comment section, shout out Brett Cooper. We're champions, you're cheaters, we're winners, you're losers. When I take off, I'm gone. If you don't keep up, I'll lose ya. I've been contemplating and changing my name to Il Divino. What is that? Italiano, Latino, Boston born, Chicago raised. My roots are in Puerto Rico. Y la Boricua, I'm the last cacique de los Taínos. I've descended from Rex to Regal. Say it's my ego, see how fast you get introduced to my desert eagle. See, nice as Galito, but I know my rights, I'm keeping it legal. Once you level up, gotta watch how they treat you. Fauci, ouchie, I'm afraid of no needle, but don't lie if you a man of the people. See, I can allow you to see me, but I am not see-through. Transparent and honest for you to know that I speak truth, till others be deceitful. A bunch of these clucks now remind me of Smeagol. Whenever your vice can lead you to evil, no cap, I am no saint, but I will not deceive you, never mislead you. Don't ever get it twisted though, I do not need you. See, like Batman, I work best alone. I stayed loaded like Rambo, Sylvester Stallone. It's nothing when I'm gone, man, easy phone home. It's just like Jay-Z and Kanye, return to the throne. It's the rise of the empire, attacking the clones. While everyone's sheep now, I am the goat. I believe in myself now, if nobody won't. There's no need to lie, cause I know that you don't. I just hope you got my rise of the empire, attacking the clones line. You know, as the empire rises, we're witnessing the fall of the republic. Everybody that just follows suit is a bunch of sheep, just like the clones doing what they told. Just know who Palpatine is though, you know? Shout out Joey B. From Chicago to Boston, Midwest to the East Coast, and this island in the Caribbean known as Puerto Rico is why the bars are lethal. Got me going beast mode in this game called life. You better know some cheat codes. Il Divino's back, someone let the streets know. 6 shots for the folks and 5 shots for my peoples. I think it's high time we all have a sit down. Can we all agree the game is gone to shit now? Like the fall of Rome, the death of Romulus, history repeating itself if you know it's obvious. If you had your head inside of a book instead of binoculars, you'd be able to see without a pair of binoculars. Our tax dollars being spent towards the damn omnibus, where the rich stay rich, commoners remain commoners. The tentacles and everything like a damn octopus. Mass media, mass hysteria, how they control the populace. Cash rules everything around me, and on every dollar bill it's printed in God we trust. Yeah, everyone lives in fear around me. The truth will set you free. Quick shout out to Elon Musk. Cash rules everything around me, and on every dollar bill it's printed in God we trust. Yeah, everyone lives in fear around me. The truth will set you free. Quick shout out to Elon Musk. Living in this shy, can't let them catch me snoozing. To be shooting just for the amusement. I refuse to be a victim, never be a loose end. When your city is a war zone, who gives a fuck about Putin? And there ain't nothing safe about the Safety Act. There's more safety in being strapped. They should choose you, shoot back. Those odds are better than getting caught laying on your back. Don't believe me, check the stats. I'm just bringing you the facts. With my hand on the Bible, I swear to rap the truth. My mighty God, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. My people perish for lack of knowledge. My knowledge I share with you. There's nothing we can't accomplish. One head ain't better than two. That's the purpose of a democratic republic. Discussion on every subject. In truth, logic, and reason. Till we reach an agreement. A nation under God is how the states united. Got out of the picture, look how gradually we divided. Cash rules everything around me, and on every dollar bill it's printed. In God we trust. Yet everyone lives in fear around me. The truth will set you free. Quick shout out to Elon Musk. Cash rules everything around me, and on every dollar bill it's printed. In God we trust. Yet everyone lives in fear around me. The truth will set you free. Quick shout out to Elon Musk.
Arrogance is the primary ingredient that will make you assume you can take action without God. Arrogance. That's actually what it is. You think you got this, and you